Hello, Peter. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you very much. I saw that you're just after all of the trade shows, what we did, we are just getting more and more interesting people to the show. So it's just, I think we need to spend more time on the road to picking up the right guys on the
Exactly.
from the crowd.
And one of our guests today is because we have a couple of people coming in. One of them, I had the chance to meet him in person, so it's a real pleasure to see those faces we see online every day, right? Let's introduce them.
That's different. That's different over the last 2 years when we're running. We're seeing the faces of people as well, and we're doing the real coffee together. So it's the BIM Cafe in real. So that's
Perfect. So no more overdue. With from Open Space, we're gonna welcome Tamas and Son. Welcome, guys, to BIM Cafe.
Hi, guys. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Great. Thank you for being with us. Really, just happy to have you. And Enrique promised that we will revolutionize the BIM, and we will just speed up the transitions of the construction industry by 10 times after we will just conclude the video. So, expectations are very high, guys.
Perfect.
Yeah, ready for the discussion. Yes.
Okay.
Fantastic. So let's jump on it, guys. Again, thank you, Tamas, Sean, for coming to the BIM Cafe and spend some time with us. I'm going to pull up the interview script structure that we might follow, we might not follow. This is always a question on the air. I'm going to start with your presentation and then link it to the solution. You guys also coming here to talk about the open space. We want to discuss about the benefits of 3D, working on 3D world, the perception of the 2Ds on the design phase and the construction stage, how does it goes, linking with the reality capture, and we end up talking about the software usability, focus of course on open space, but more in general, how the software have been developed for the users or not, because sometimes the intention is good, but then the product is not fantastic, right? So first of all, Tamas, Son, take the order you want, but introduce yourself to our audience.
Yeah, thank you. So just a quick introduction as myself. As you see, I'm a sales manager for Open Space. I'm actually responsible for half of Europe. I'm running a team in Northern and Eastern Europe. And as a quick background of myself, I've been in the industry for almost 20 years. I'm Hungarian originally. I live in the UK, but I had customers all across Europe during this time. And interestingly, I started to sell tools and services to the industry. And that really helped me to have a really good understanding of the processes, the challenges, what the customers facing on site. And in the last 2.5 years, I'm with Open Space. I moved to the tech space, and I'm living the dream. I mean, this is phenomenal, really exciting, helping customers on the digital journey. And I'm sure we're gonna discuss a lot of topics we're seeing every day. So very, very lucky to be in this place. And thank you for the invite as well. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you for being with us.
Yep. Quickly, my name is Sean Phillips. I'm a solutions engineer with Open Space. I'm currently located in Madrid, Spain, which is why Enrique and I were actually able to see each other and shake hands and have a conversation and coffee this week, which was fantastic. I'm originally from California. When I was in California, I built custom homes around the San Francisco Bay Area, relocated to Chicago with my family, and that's where I started my Contech journey. I'd been using PlanGrid in California. When I moved to Chicago, I moved into a sales role with PlanGrid, then moved into the BIM world with Revisto, and since being in Spain, I've been working with Open Space. So yeah, can talk from both sides of the world, the field side, the BIM side, and now the reality capture side.
That's fantastic. It's a great experience, guys, which you guys having, and I think this is something which we are missing from some of the guys in the industry. Really, to have the understanding of all of the parts of the construction work, right? I really appreciate the field work is really, I think, important because it allows us to implement the non-nonsense solution really at the end. So that's really good.
Fantastic. So to start the conversation, I want to just pull up this first slide and as an introduction for the solution and any reality capture or tool we're using different technology. Is this concept of the 3D and 2D flow that we are having on on the construction always. No, our mind, we create and imagine things on 3D, then we need to use to put it in planes or paper planes or 2D, and then the construction itself happens on 3D. So this is like this 3D, 2D, 3D flow that happens. It leads to so many, let's call it mistakes or information misleading or gaps. And this is something we want to avoid with the technology, not only about BIM. This is not purely about BIM, but in terms of what is your perception on this? How come you see going to construction site and see like the mistakes that can happen leading from this 2D, 3D, 2D, 3D transfer that we usually have?
Yeah, I'm sure you guys heard that a lot of times, maybe on this show as well, that construction industry is probably one of the least digitized sector. So if you compare to some of the other industries and some traditional ones are like food, manufacturing. I think you guys work a lot in manufacturing. Those industries are much more advanced. And you know, we see that on a daily basis. There are customers who've got this big vision, you know, do everything in 3D and go into the direction that everything is digital and using models. But the reality is that still most of the customers in most of the countries are working from 2D plans, from papers, and even in many solutions they use pen and paper. So yes, that's what you described, Enrique. That's happening. Yeah, we're going back to the paper and then trying build the reality from there as we speak.
And what is your experience, Sean, on site? Because you've been there more on the field itself. So
yeah, I would say it's a little bit depressing at times going on site because, you know, when you talk to the office, they have these incredible models and you can really visualize and see what's going to be built. And then you go to the job site and you walk into a trailer and they're just racks of paper. And 90% of the time, those racks of paper are useless because the plans have changed in the last month. And to print and redeliver and get the right information out, it creates a huge information gap and, you know, impacts the schedule, rework, budget, everything. It just kind of falls apart. So that 3D, 2D, and then building in 3D cycle, it needs to change. I think the industry is really adopting and seeing the power of maintaining 3D throughout the construction process. And now there's technology that enables that. But I think what we're really waiting to catch up is the contracts. The contracts are still 2D based and requiring 2D documents. And until that starts to change, the constant thread of 3D through the project is really going to kind of sit in the background. So there's some contractual changes now. There's a lot of technology in place. And I see a bright future for it. We just need the entire process to catch up.
Sean, one question, because I think, I like the idea of having the updated paper, etc. But if you have this digitally, right, if you wish to have the 3D, you need to have the right tools on the construction side, right? And we were laughing with Enrique in a couple of the different episodes here because sometimes, you know, the construction part is pretty, just not saying dirty, but it's just a lot of noise, a lot of dust, a lot of stuff, right? So it's not possible, even just the lighting, right? You need to have the room where you can see even the you know, if you're sitting in the California, not in the winter, but in the summer, it's just a 50 degrees, it's the full sun, and you can just not even see what you have on your tablet, right? So, you know, how you would just like to see it, because it's not possible to have all of this modern tool on the field side.
Yeah, you know, I've seen a variety of solutions. You know, now there's actually solutions that allow you to view the model on your mobile phone. You know, they've been able to compress it enough that it's functional from that standpoint. I've seen job boxes as well, which are digital job boxes connected to job site Wi-Fi, where, you know, they're protected, they're inside, so you can still see the screen. But you know, I'm not saying there will never be a role for paper, because as you described, you know, whether it's the heat or if you're, you know, working in the Nordics, you can't take a tablet out in -10. It's going to go black, shut down, and it becomes a new hammer. So I think it's finding a way where the 2D reflects 3D in a current enough state that you're not losing important information. And if there is something that is conflicting or challenging, then you can take your time and go to the, you know, job trailer or job site office and resolve it as a group, but ideally you have the right information. One of my clients in the US always used to say, I need the right information at the point of attack. So everybody who's doing the work on site has what they need to continue working, and they only go to seek information when they really need it, where it's something that can absolutely impact the job. Otherwise, they're very talented people in the field. They're almost like little computers because they can look at the 2D and actually picture it. They see it in 3D, but that ability is starting to fade out of the industry as well. So it's adding technology to educate and also share knowledge between the varying ages of the workforce.
That's brilliant comment. And I think this is something which apart of having just looking at the 3D on the cell phone, I think I will need to have a bigger glasses, my dear. But that's okay. I'm just trying to think about it, but that's come with the age, so it's okay. I understand this. But I think you're right. I think I like the comments about having the right information of the moment when you will be starting the task. I think that's really important. The one things which also come to my mind is saying, when you just start working, you can have the alert system or alert platform or alert something which tells you there is a change what you're going. Just please check it before you will start attacking it. So that's something more proactive coming to your comfort, to your zone of work, etc. But good comment. Thank you very much for that.
Sorry, and this is something also I like to remark we discussed with some of the guests as well. It's having all the information in a BIM object or in a paper or whatever you want to have. It's not that much better. No, it's not. You need the right information at the right time. Otherwise, you're carrying data, megabytes or bytes or whatever, or paper that weighs nothing. So this is something that really to consider. That is a good point, having the information at the right moment where you can really make an impact. So, guys, let's jump to the topic. We discussed this slightly problematic of the 3D to 2D vision, and just talking a bit about what you guys do at open space and what is so-called reality capture. Are you trying to solve this? Is it something related with, because you're trying a way to connect the real world, the plan itself, the paper plan with the real world, capturing the reality, right?
I mean, this is a really interesting topic, and we sometimes say it's one of the hottest topic on the construction industry at the moment. And this is something which is really, really changing the industry in our view, transforming the industry, because what reality capture allows that the customer can capture and document their job site building passively in a very easy, fast way. And the technology allows people to access these sites remotely. So again, we're talking about how information and technology can help customers managing their job site. I mean, this is a great example. We can bring in different stakeholders to look at the same information, access the same information, and make decisions right on the spot. And doing that is super simple. I always have this with me, and I have to show you that that's always on my table. Basically, that's it. The technology is purely a mobile phone and 360 camera, which makes the whole experience very, very easy and very simple. And I'm sure we will talk about later on about the adoption and what makes a technology successful. But simplicity and ease of use are really, really things which essential in our experience.
So Tamas, I think when I will just for sure recognize you on the street very easily. That's very simple. That's really makes me pretty confident that I will recognize you, because you will be having this strange head. So that's okay. I got that.
Yeah, exactly, like a Teletubby. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So guys, but this is the technology, of course, which is good. But how are you just guys handling all of this the border patterns? So all of the exceptions and this kind of things, which always in the perfect conditions, in the perfect lighting, in the perfect situation, etc., everything is perfect. But as we mentioned, and I think as a student, I was working also on the construction side, just like a physical worker. So I know that it's really not clean, it's not nice, and it's just really difficult to have the ideal situation. So how are you handling with these things?
I mean, first of all, we super transparent about what the technology can do, what it's capable of, and what it's not, and what are the requisites to make this successful. And the customers and the users have to be part of this solution. And I'm sure Sean has a lot of experience on that as well. But really, we're just having open discussion. What makes this selling this solution very, very easy, as I said, the simplicity and ease of use, and also that the benefits are visible very, very quickly. So this is not a technology which you need to set up, prepare, and then waiting for weeks or months to get the report or get something visible and start seeing the value. This is something you walk around, upload the information in half an hour, you actually see what you've done or what's the result of that walk, which is very fast and much easier to handle, in my experience.
Yeah, and I would say, I mean, the joy and challenge of construction is there's always going to be something that isn't ideal, right? Every time I started my day, I knew it was a matter of, okay, am I best prepared to answer all the questions and deal with all the problems that are going to come my way today? It's unavoidable. And it's the same thing with the lighting. There's going to be areas that don't have the right safety lighting. But, with a lot of these reality capture solutions, and OpenSpace specifically has leveraged their AI to enhance imagery. And these little devices here have an incredible flash on them. And we have customers who there's new areas that the team hasn't run safety lighting through yet. They just throw their flash on, they walk through, and you'd be amazed with how effective that can be because of the back-end capability of the solution and the capability of the hardware itself. It can really enhance and take in all the light that it needs. So I think it's as the software and the hardware improves, the lighting is becoming less of an issue. But there's always going to be those times that you do have challenges. But like Tamas said, you get your results so quickly, you can just go back out there and capture that one section properly and make sure you have it, because the documentation is invaluable at the end of the project.
And we always like to remind or put this into context what we're doing. I mean, what we're doing is helping the traditional challenges of documenting what's happening on site. So if someone is using a mobile phone, the pain. You go on site and try to make hundreds of thousands of pictures on that site, and then you come off, and how painful to reorganize that, put that in the structure, figure out where did I make that picture. I mean, compared to that experience, what reality capture offers you is astonishing and huge value.
Yeah, the one thing's, and again, this is not against you guys, and again, sorry for just trying to push you a little bit out of the picture here, but I think you coming with the solutions, for me, I think it's too late, to be honest. Not too late in terms of the timing, but too late in the construction cycle. If you go on site and you start to checking, where are the errors, you already missed the chance to make these things right. Imagine that if you will be just doing the checks on the airplane after he will land, just about the engine, right? Just doesn't really make any sense, right? So, I just thinking, yeah, the industry is great. I think the product is great. I think it makes and it's a good point. But isn't it a little bit too late in the cycle when it's already built or it's constructed? How you can say it? Can we just do this faster? Can we just make it sure that we will avoid making the mistakes instead of correcting them?
Yeah, I think in an ideal world, perhaps reality capture isn't needed. But anytime you have human input on a process, there's room for error. So even the most highly coordinated model that gets released to the construction team, and perhaps that team is only building from the model, I guarantee they've taken care of 75, 80, maybe 85%, but the money's in that 15% that's not addressed. So that's where there's always going to be a need for technology that allows the entire team to see the job site, not just the people on site. Because these large projects, the project team building might be in Madrid, the design team has offices in London, New York, Singapore. How do you share that information as quickly as possible? And paper just doesn't do it. Writing doesn't do it. but you send an image and everybody understands. And if that image is tied to the model itself, then people go, oh, I see. And instead of a week or 2 weeks, you have your answer the next day. You've really lost nothing when you compare it to what used to be. So I don't foresee a future where humans won't be involved in the construction process. So there's always going to be the need for something to verify, check, and communicate with from a technology standpoint.
Okay. No, it's fair. It's a fair question. I think you're right. I'm just when I talk about this aviation industry, you're right. I'm just usually have the most of accidents is just due to the human error at the end, you know, and we try to build the machines to prevent it and to make it sure that the humans are just not making the mistakes at the end, right? So it's for sure that's right.
But it's actually a very good point, Piotr, to raise when whether it's not too late or when it's to use reality capture. You know what, we see that reality capture has a huge value through the whole life cycle of the building. So it's actually can be used in a very early stage. It can be used in tendering stage, in bidding stage. Customers don't even have a building. They're already using, making the inspection, making the survey, which they use as an input for that tender. And then imagine, you know, when the building is done and, you know, hand over the building with a complete digital copy of the whole process to the owners. It's a huge value, and that can be used later on while they are managing, maintaining that asset as well. So it's much broader than just the construction process. It's actually covering the whole life cycle of those buildings.
I trust you. I'm not saying that believe, but I trust you.
I had the chance to take a walk with Sean on the fair with the camera. No, we see the result, and it's pretty cool and impressive. But I want to ask you, how do you guys relate this with BIM? Is it with the 3D model? Because I see currently on the software, the matching points is always with the 2D plans, or do you can also do it with the virtual 3D space or renderings or so on, or even render photos from the software?
Yeah, so I think like most construction technology, you know, we started by taking what is the official building document. For better or worse, it's a 2D sheet. So we take that sheet and then our system maps your reality capture. So then you have a 3D reference within that 2D world. And then we added in the model itself. So we can take in 60 different file formats of models. There's so many different, you know, authoring tools out there. So, you know, then we're bringing the three worlds together in one platform. Our approach with BIM and, you know, what's becoming more like VDC is, again, giving the most information to anybody at any point in time. So because the model can run on a tablet alongside reality capture, you have this really rich context of not just what could be, but what is right now. So again, it gives you that proactive capability to start to recognize where errors might come and where to ask questions and get information prior to the work being done. And, you know, you can pretty much upload anything in those formats to reference with the reality capture. So we try and be as agnostic as possible. You know, like the walk that we did at Feria, I obviously didn't have a plan of the event center. I just took a picture of the map right at the entry, converted it to a PDF, did my walk, did a 3D scan of a Polestar car that was sitting there. And within 30 minutes, all of that was available to view. So that type of speed and information sharing is really what we're trying to do. I guess you could say it's democratizing the information. It's not keeping it locked in the office. It's not keeping it locked in the field. You're putting it all in one platform where people can really see what's going on rather than trying to have to interpret what's happening.
Very impressive.
What about the because sometimes even if you're going for checking some mistakes or gaps on the construction site, there is no, unless you go and focus. I know there is a problem on this room, on this corner, so you go and take the picture or there. But if it's a general walk through the site, do you have the sense that you're potentially missing things? Because of course the 3D cameras are good and so on, but sometimes the lighting, as Peter said, or maybe someone just put this machine of this big sack of cement on the front, so you can see properly the structure behind or so on. Is it really cases that you need to do 2-3 walks and select maybe, okay, what's the best overview to don't miss anything on your way?
Customers walk a different frequency, and depending on the job site, some of them doing once a week, some of them doing a couple of times a week. If the project is coming into a latter stage, in a fit-out stage, potentially they can do this on a daily basis. So yes, I'm sure it happens that something is really, covered or not visible, but it's not something we come across very often. We're really talking about high frequency digital twins here. We're talking about something, you creating these pictures and captures weekly or every couple of days. That is a lot of information, a lot of pictures. So yeah, one of those pictures surely will show you all the details what you need.
Yeah, and if there are gaps or areas that couldn't be seen, with the mobile device, you can access any capture. So if I'm walking on a Wednesday and Thursday, there's something that I have a question about, I could have anybody from the field team open space and do what we call a field note of that specific area. And they just take a simple photo with their mobile device, and it gets automatically tagged to that exact location. So then I could see, what was blocked by, say, a ladder or scaffolding or safety, blocking, whatever it may have been. And then it completes that picture for you. Rather than having to go out and do an entire walk with the 360 camera again, you can focus on just that specific area and have it automatically tagged to the location to complete that view.
So from technology perspective, guys, how you do accuracy in terms of the location of the camera? Is there any particular stuff which you guys doing? Is something special, or do you need to have any base stations just to make sure that you can calibrate the walk?
It's very, very special and very, very secretive. So
okay, no worries.
No. So the camera that Tamas showed, it has SLAM technology and an inertia engine built into it. And what our incredible founding team was able to do is combine that with the actual reality capture and use the vision engine and AI to figure out where on the 2D sheet that should be located. So it's all taken care of within existing technology, and then the software that was built out that became open space. So, you don't have to have, targets that you're scanning. You go to your 2D sheet, you locate roughly where you're starting. It doesn't have to be highly accurate. The system will take care of that for you. It just needs a sense of where to begin, right? You can't say, I'm in the northwest corner and you start in the northeast corner. That's going to create errors for any system. But an approximation, and then the existing hardware technology and the back-end software technology within OpenSpace takes over and gets everything aligned for you.
I understood. Just so I think there is some hypothesis that your 2D plan is pretty accurate, right? So that should be the plan, what represents the 100% your design. So okay, so that's interesting, because some of these plans as well can be wrong at the end, but it's a good concept. So I'm just thinking about.
Let's cross finger that those plans can come from the 3D model, right? So they are coordinated and updated.
No. It came with my just a long time ago. I also just work as on the financial industry and just as an auditor. So just I was doing, when you go to the factory, you're always doing the double checks. You're checking what you have on the spreadsheet. You're checking what you have on the shelves. And you decide to do the second thing, you're checking what you have on the shelves, what you have on the piece of paper, right? So that's what I was thinking, because if you're going on the one-way check, it's just a possibility for errors, but that's fine, but this is better, of course, than to have nothing. So it's just, for sure, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
One question, guys, for the technology itself. After I walk through, someone is scanning it, checking it, and they see a mistake or something to change. I guess how does it work? You need to like put a note, tag something, because at the end it's just a note base. You cannot really edit the model through the software, right? You just, I would say, just attach the email. Okay, this is wrong, and someone needs to go to the model and update it, or not.
Yeah, you can raise issues, flag that, highlight that, but yes, you're not communicating to the model. You cannot make changes with the model from open space. At least
can you? But can you attach images or send something to the model, or just a purely communication to someone? Hey, check the model of this location. There is an issue, and this is the issue. You can attach the screenshot, or can you directly connect with the model and put something, the flag or the incidents over there?
Yeah, no, you're raising the issue in open space, and it's shared out to the team. The risk we have to be concerned with is because open space gets out into such a wider set of the project team, who isn't always as savvy and able to navigate the model. What you really want to avoid from a software perspective is damaging any of the design model. That's why, we handle the communication, but the actual altering or changing updates, that's handled by the team that's in charge of that, just to limit any potential mistakes that could happen. And this, happens with open space. It happens with all of the other BIM coordination solutions. It came up often at Revisto, where it sounds great that someone identifies an issue with the model and they go make the change themselves. But the liability and accountability really gets compromised and leaves, room for even larger errors than recognizing it. So I think for the most part, just knowing there was an issue and it has to be fixed and it's been shared out is, 95% of the battle.
So you guys are like an app solution for those, let's say, Revit class detections, other model coordinator. It's an extra solution for identifying with a quick scan photos the mistakes. No?
Yeah, exactly.
And you can do that very fast. And again, our average processing time, half an hour. And within half an hour, all those all those stakeholders can remotely see that. What's happening on site, which is pretty good and pretty fast. So really, we help the customers to recognize these or identify these issues on time.
One question here about your target audience, let's call it, right? Like the people who need to use open space. Are they the main contractors, the facility managers, or also used for the architects to check their own work? Who is the real target for the product of the reality capture?
Yeah, I mean, there's a very wide range of people and profiles who could use the system. The core target audience for us, the contractors and the owners. So those people who are building the buildings or the projects, and also those ones who own or who invest their money into the buildings. But we have a lot of different use cases. So the tool is used for inspections. So surveyors use that regularly. The architects, they use that to access the projects and track how things are built. Project management companies get involved and use the system as helping their work and talking to the client. So quite a wide range of stakeholders, I would say.
Great. Question more here. I just got into my mind. How is the many projects or the size of the project you guys are involved to? Because I guess this is, you need to send a guy every week to work to handle 2,000 square meters in a stadium or something. He's gonna say, you know what, I'm gonna do this only once, right?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, we have all kinds of projects in the system. Small projects that are very complicated, like mechanical rooms, where there's a lot going on that the documentation really matters, to mega projects in the Middle East, where, one level of that project is taking almost 45 minutes to walk, but they're doing that on a weekly basis because the documentation is so important to get right. So we're not limited by project size. We work hand in hand with the customer to decide what meets their goals for each project. So there's an implementation process that we help with, and it's aligned to what they need to get out of every project. and no, without changing their workflows too much. The nice thing with open space is you have to walk the job site anyhow. So putting a camera on top of your hard hat doesn't change that much. You're still having to go out there and see things, but now you don't have to worry about taking all the photos and organizing the photos. You just walk, you see what's going on, and then the documentation is taking care of you, no matter what size project you have.
And what is the relationship that this might have, Sean or Tamas, with virtual reality? This is reality capture. Is it something compatible or not with the virtual or augmented reality that we can be also other companies working in that for construction sites?
We get these questions a lot. Technology
Yes.
changes and customers see different examples. Currently not, but I would say I'm sure it's coming at some point. But as we speak, no, it's not related to AR or VR.
And no type of implementation going on from the virtual reality and the reality capture, beyond open space. I mean, in terms of the technology in general.
Yeah, so I see virtual reality being used quite often in the design phase of projects, especially these large projects where details matter. And I've seen specific use cases in medical where you're building out surgical rooms, and the design team will actually take the surgeon, put them in the VR environment, and they can interact with the surgical room itself. And I've seen things of where the surgical room was designed for a right-handed doctor, but the surgeon, in VR is like, I'm left-handed. I like switches here. And they're able to making, it sounds so silly, but making that switch in the digital world costs nothing. But if that gets out and it's a finished product and you have a surgical room that can't be used because you have a left-handed surgeon, that's tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to rework that. Or potentially, the surgeon could just be like, you know what, I'm going to go somewhere that actually cares about how I operate. So the VR I see very useful in the design phase. And again, owners can't always sense from a 2D or even looking at a render how a space will feel when they walk in. So from, say a restaurant, if you can let the chef walk in and actually feel what his kitchen looks like, there's a lot of benefit to getting that feedback in a digital form. AR has tried to catch on in construction, but there's a lot of challenges out in the field. It's dirty, very low cell and Wi-Fi signals, and you can't, if the augmented reality isn't perfectly aligned with reality, it doesn't do you any good. Bad information leads to bad decisions. So there's things that need to catch up. Virtual reality, I think, is really beneficial in the design phase. AR is getting there, like anything. I'm not saying it won't get there. There's just some pretty challenging hurdles given how construction sites look that make it, not as functional as it could be.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think we need to put more IT people into the field on the construction site. Maybe the whole transitions will be going faster because they used to do the coffee rooms, the coffee in the office, the bagels and the free lunches. And I think when we will put the IT guys there on the dusty part of the world, I think it will go faster in terms of the transition of the digital transformation of the construction industry. I think it will go fast.
Yes. I totally agree. Let them experience what the end user is going through, and you'd be amazed at how quickly software and tech will improve.
Okay, so we have a project right now just to put the guys from the Google into the dirty construction site. Well, let's just try to see how they will react. Okay.
Drag them out. I'm all for it.
Will not
Fantastic, bro, here, because to close up the interview, I want to discuss also about the software usability and how this is being developed, because it's always the intention of the developing, if it's coming from people who have been working on site, who have been working on the construction industry, they have engineering or technical background, or they just pure developers. So the product can make a perfect sense for them, but at the end, the usability is not great, it's not good, it's not easy. And this is something that Tamas was saying at the beginning, and this is the moment to attack it. That needs to be simple and easy to use, right? Because at the end, otherwise, no one will got it. So, how is the software usability for open space?
Yeah, I think it's always challenging to, balance the ability of a software engineer or a software developer with the needs of the end user. I've been very fortunate to work at technology companies that have founders from the industry or senior people from the industry. But beyond that, when they came up with the concept, they were happy to go out into the field and walk with the end user. So, at PlanGrid, at Open Space, the founders went out with superintendents, with project engineers, and said, here's what we're trying to do. And that immediate feedback at an early stage shaped and led to the success of the software itself. I think construction technology, more than anything, you can't develop in a vacuum without input from the field. 90% of construction happens out in the dirt. It just does. And if you haven't considered how those people will use your product, you're just setting yourself up for failure. No matter how talented you are, the people in the field are unforgiving if you hand them something that doesn't function and makes their life harder.
And I would say we're also quite proud of the fact that we have a lot of talented people from the tech industry and with software background, but we also have a lot of people actually coming from the industry, coming from the field, used to be contractors working on sites. And I think that's a really, really good mix of people. And what Sean mentioned, that's also true, that we talking to our customers on new features and innovations on a very regular basis. Our product team is actually out there testing, trying, talking to these users, and we develop everything based on the customer need, insight, and feedback. That's really, really important for us.
So just I understood that you need just to have the special helmet with something on your head, and you look like a Teletubbies. Okay, that's good. And then is just so that's how we can recognize you, Tamas, on the street. So that's I understood it as well. And then you have just is there any particular extra part of the software? Is there any other technology which is needed when you run the solution?
Well, you need a mobile phone, which almost everyone has. The platform works on Android and iPhone as well, iOS. And then you obviously need a laptop, how you can review this information. But again, what makes this technology really amazing, that it requires very little investment and very little additional hardware. So really the only extra thing someone needs is this piece of equipment, which is a standard off-shaft 360 camera, few €100 cost. That's it. So implementing this is a very, very simple and cost-effective solution.
Okay, so very simple, very good to the point, useful for everyone, but it's not definitive. No, we still need to do those big models. We still need to do this class coordination and communicate to the people to get the software, right? So, okay, this evolving their simple solution, but not a unique one. Because sometimes some people are trying to develop the unique one, the one who will, okay, you just buy me the product and your construction will work perfectly. You guys know it's okay. You still need to have your software, your licenses, and so on.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Enrique, because customers getting carried away, and sometimes we're having this discussion. Then, can you do this? Can you do clash detection? Can you forecast this? Can you flag us if something is not in the right place? And look, that's the ultimate goal, and a lot of companies going that way, but that takes time. That's a journey. Maybe in a few years we will be there. What we started is started from reality, looking at what's the situation and what's the state of the companies who working in this field, and giving them something which helps immediately. And in a few years' time, we will get to those very sophisticated solutions. But currently, it's just we are on the way.
It's impressive, guys. And I think it's really good step, and I think it's one of the building blocks. One of the things from my lessons, really from the previous discussions. I think the important part is that should be really just integrated with the whole ecosystem to make sure that it's successful. Because if it will be just solid atom going around the planet, I think it will not be really just making the impact. So, but I think I hear you that you have just the right thinking in the way how the whole product will evolve and make it sure that it's just integrated with the whole construction industry, whole construction package. Yeah. A good story, guys.
You made a few jokes about the IT guys, Piotr, but really, I think one of the big challenges for the IT guys is that they have all these lovely technologies, and actually they have too many. They're telling us that, there are so many softwares within the company, and, the usage of those softwares are not good enough. Adoption rates are not good enough. So they need to come up with the solution where they also do the simplification, reducing the complexity for the workforce while they're delivering more productivity. And that's a real challenge, in my view.
Yeah, I think I understood what you're saying, but I don't think so. That I think there is not too many technologies. In fact, I don't think so. There is not the proper use per purpose deployment, etc. So it's just some of the guys haven't haven't really thought through how they're supposed to use, and they're just buying something new, or they do. So there is not a lot of thought, how I can use these things and purposely, and etc. etc. But I think I will leave this to the market. I can just say it right now through the different changes of the technology. This is like a wave for me. So it's just right now we on the bottom of the technology transformation. It means that you see a lot of reduction in forces in some of the technology companies. So the people start thinking differently, how I can maximize it, how I can optimize it, how I can make it sure that I can use it better. For me, this is the natural cycle really going up and down. So, I'm not saying that this is potentially the good or bad, but this is the cycle for me.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, probably right.
Sean here already mentioned it. Or I think you, Tamas, you mentioned it. In construction industry, we are slow. Okay, so this cycle is the center is really just to go one after another, right? I want to go faster with this thing. So
I think the information and the lessons learned are more available now. So I'm seeing companies thinking differently about, you mentioned buying things just to buy things. There's much more thoughtful process going into making sure that data is shared across. I think data, and because there's, gigabytes, terabytes of data from every construction project. And it's foolish not to try and leverage that in some way, shape, or form from start to finish and from project to project. So I'm seeing, it's the outliers, it's the top part of the industry, but that always filters down over time. And I think, with that feedback coming into the technology companies, I'm predicting in the next 2 to 4 years, there's going to be a lot of rapid change, and it's going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And we're really going to see some incredible stuff being accomplished from, the tech side, the design side, and the construction side.
Yeah,
we are waiting for this wave.
I don't like the uncomfortable. I don't like the uncomfortable word, but I like fun word. So it's okay. We can just leave.
You've got to get uncomfortable to change.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that's pretty much all for us from our side. You want to say anything else? Otherwise, it's been a real pleasure to have you with us, to share experience about open space and the digital reality capture, how to link it there. We got it here, okay? Simple solution, straight to the point. Maybe, okay, if it serves for the first step for digitalization and people move onwards to digital reality and so on, welcoming this. So thank you for the work you're doing, for your effort to digitalize this world. And on said, I got myself ready for this wave of change, man, since a while ago. So let's see how it goes.
I want to see you also, Enrique, walking on the street with the helmet with the camera on your head. So I want to see this in Malaga. Yeah, okay.
Next event I see Enrique at, I'll get a photo of him doing a capture.
Yeah, please. I want to see this as well.
100%. Okay, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
See you later. Bye-bye.
See you.